Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where leaders inspire leaders. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Leong, and with me is my co-host, Carrie Leong.
Mahalo, Evan. Today's guest is Bill Chee, President and CEO of Prudential Locations, LLC, one of Hawaii's oldest and one of the largest locally owned real estate brokerage firms. In 1993, Bill served as the president of the National Association of Realtors and is still the only ethnic minority to have filled that position. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, Bill Chee. Welcome to our show, Bill.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Should I say aloha, niha? You've been with Prudential Locations for a while now. Could you tell us a little bit why you started Prudential Locations?
I was working for a real estate firm when I was 22 years old, and when you're 22 years old, you think you're really smart. So one day we actually got drunk and started a business.
And how many of you were involved in the startup? 3
of us. We started in my apartment.
You mean you met people in your apartment also?
No, we didn't. We actually went out to show them things. That's why we never took them to the office for the first 3 months, because we worked out of there. And then we got an office on Ward Avenue. It was 800 square feet, and we subleased 300 feet to somebody else. And he could hardly pay the rent. So we got part of it in Listerine. I remember he used to distribute Listerine, so we got part of it in Listerine.
So how was it starting your own business at 22? What gave you the confidence that you thought you could do it?
I wouldn't call it confidence. I would call it probably naiveté, because we wrote things down and we thought we could make them happen, and they were totally unrealistic. If I was realistic about the whole thing, I probably wouldn't have started it.
Was the market so strong that you thought that you could be independent?
No, the market was weak, but we didn't know it. That's how little we knew about the market. So what started us off was it looked like people wanted something that we could give them, and other realtors weren't, and which was very unusual at that time. So 38 years ago, when you did real estate research, people thought you were crazy. You know, it was mostly use your dad's friend rather than look at the data.
So how long were you doing real estate before you started this company?
I got my license when I was in college. So the age of majority was 20 then. And it was a quirky time where it was flipping back and forth between 21 and 18. And then they decided in some years 20 was the age of majority. So I got it when I was 20 years old. Tried to sell real estate while I was in college and failed. And then went to work for First Hawaiian Bank and decided that I didn't like the banking business, and then went into real estate because that's the only thing I had was a real estate license.
Wait, but if you said that you started in real estate and you failed, then you went to the bank, what would make you go back to something you didn't do that well at initially?
Well, when you don't have any choice, you just go back to what you got, right?
And that's really an interesting point, because I know that there's a lot of people, especially in a good market, everyone wants to get into real estate, but then they kind of feel that when the market starts to go down, that they're not so good at it, so they just kind of leave. But you kind of seem to stick with it. You know, you said you didn't have a choice, but, you know, you must have this feeling of you could do it if you just stuck to it and you didn't quit and really applied yourself.
Well, I think it was a lot of fear and no choices. So what happens is that when everyone else is leaving, you don't have any place else to go, so you stuck around. And there are businesses in which if you're the last one standing, you win. So real estate happens to be one of them. If you take today's market, 40% of the people who have licenses don't make a sale during a year. So don't think of the real estate business as a group of people all making sales. I mean, the large proportion don't even make a sale at all.
And then what was your competitive advantage when you initially started?
Again, being stupid has its privileges. You know, I think that once you get out there, we used to do things like take data and put it on a spreadsheet and show people what other houses sold for and graph it out so that they could see what took place in the neighborhood over time.
What kind of program did you use back then?
A hand and a ruler.
Okay, so you're talking for real spreadsheet.
Yep.
And so at that time, other people or competitors, they weren't doing this?
No, they weren't.
And what advantage did you find this for your customers?
Well, one of the things that we've learned and we continue to learn is that it's the customers that actually dictate the marketplace. So they liked the data. It was that other realtors weren't giving it to them. So if we told them the last 10 sales and we showed it to them on a graph, they liked it. So they decided they wanted to come back to us. And so we had a lot of people liking to see real estate data. And we ran things like, what your mortgage would be 10 years from now and 20 years from now, so they could envision what took place when they bought a house, whereas no one else did that for them.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.